Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy. Welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be talking about the Wonder Man TV show that came out on Disney Plus the other day. I was not expecting to watch this entire show as quickly as I did. I'm usually pretty bad at watching TV shows in a very fast amount of time. However, I watched the first couple of episodes of the show on the first day, and I pretty much instantly fell in love with it. So we're going to dive into a full-on review. I'm going to start off with a different little segment of kind of my unfiltered thoughts and just kind of my basic overall overview of how I felt about the show. I don't think that there's any spoilers in this next part, and then afterwards I'm going to dive into a deeper conversation where we talk spoilers and we talk about some of the deeper meanings. So let's dive into this, shall we? We have a TV show, and this is a TV show that I was planning on watching slowly over the time span of the next couple of weeks, and then I watched the first couple of episodes and I was like, I need to watch it all right now. So the TV show on Disney Plus called Wonder Man. For those of you guys who cannot behind me, I got a Black Panther poster. Over here, I got a Marvel poster right behind my recording studio. I have a Spider-Man poster and a Dark Knight poster. Superhero movies and TV shows have been huge for me my entire life. I'm constantly trying to find, whatever superhero movies and TV shows I can watch. I think they're awesome. And this show is so insanely refreshing for somebody who's seen probably over 10 or 15 superhero TV shows. It feels genuinely like any that I've ever seen before. This movie is 100%, I called it a movie. This show is 100% a character study. The main character, Simon Williams, is somebody who has this huge passion and this huge dream of, I really want to be an actor. I really want to be in the film industry. I've always wanted to be able to go out there and just give it my all and potentially be able to be a movie star. And the way that he resonates with films, the way that he resonates with TV shows and just different acting performances is something that feels incredibly relatable. As somebody who is super into movies and TV shows, I've always felt like a connection with movies. And anytime I'm sitting in a cinema chair, I just feel at home in a sense, and this movie just kind of made me feel at home, because Simon Williams doesn't have a whole lot of friends. He has superpowers, but he's really scared about potentially hurting people with them or accidentally using them, and people finding out that his secret that he has superpowers. And so because of that, he's never able to let anybody get close, and he always feels really alone and lonely, and he has these walls that are really hard to come down. And you hear people like his mother, who really loved him and care about him, talking about how it's really heartbreaking to her that he feels so alone and nobody really gets him and understands him, but at least he has his movies, and it's heartbreaking. I cried multiple times watching the show, and I just didn't expect that. I think that it is absolutely beautiful, and the power of friendship and having people who can truly understand you and see who you are as a person, and just that vulnerability of letting yourself be known by other people just was absolutely incredible. I just wasn't really expecting that. And what's it called? Sir Ben Kingsley is a phenomenal actor, and he's somebody who's been working with Marvel for quite a few years now. He's been working with them since Iron Man 3, which came out in 2014. So yeah, over 10 years of playing this silly little character named Trevor Slattery, and they really were like, okay, let's let his acting chops show through. And he just gives such a beautiful performance of somebody who genuinely is just on the run, trying to outrun his past, which is a really bad past because he pretended to be a terrorist. And he's able to find these really serious moments to be sincere and to talk to Simon Williams and kind of explain to him that hey, I know you feel like you can't be yourself because you have this issue and you have these superpowers and you can't use those superpowers, but having those flaws, having those issues, and having those fears is what makes you genuinely human, and it's what makes you such a great person to be around. We love you even with your flaws, and it's just such an accepting moment, and there's just so much beautiful character moments throughout this entire show. If you have not seen it, I definitely would recommend watching it and checking it out. It is beautiful. It's not action heavy, which is something that I think is phenomenal. There's been a lot of people who have been rating the show poorly because they're like, he doesn't do any superhero stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the point. And I absolutely love that. I think that in a lot of ways it is kind of an allegory for queer actors in Hollywood. For people who do not know, it's kind of really hard for actors to come out and still be able to have successful careers. And it, in a lot of ways, feels like it's resembling that. And I really loved it. I thought that the show was very powerful, and it's something that I'm glad Marvel was able to fully release. Whether or not they released it the right way and, they didn't give it a proper week-to-week release, I still think that it's getting the love that it deserves. A lot of people are watching it. It's getting its flowers, and I just wanted to also give it its flowers. Okay, but yeah, that's my basic overall thoughts on the TV show as a whole. I think that it was a really good TV show, and it actually was incredibly emotionally resonant, which is something that I really like. I know a lot of people have watched this show and have kind of given it some negative reviews because, like, oh, well, Wonder Man didn't do a whole lot of Wonder Man things, and oh my god, this isn't anything like the Wonder Man comics character. And I gotta say, I completely understand where some people are coming from. If Simon Williams from the comics is one of your favorite comic book characters ever, and you just really love the story of like a character who's like, oh, I'm indestructible, let me go be a stuntman in Hollywood, and you see this version of the character who isn't using his powers at all and he's completely 100% just a regular guy, I can see why that would be a little different for you. But I have such a hard time not loving this character. I think that Destin Daniel Cretton does such an incredible job with directing this and making these characters feel like such regular human beings, because Trevor Slattery, a character who has had such a larger than life role in these movies and somebody who's been through so much like incredibly crazy superhero just random shit, and he just still at the end of the day feels like a guy who has these dreams and these aspirations and these plans, and he just really wants to be an actor in Hollywood. And I love the fact that we go through this character journey with them where he is an actor through and through, and he uses those skills to kind of be like almost like a super spy double agent with the DODC, and the way that he plays the DODC in this, I think it's absolutely fantastic. I gotta say, now that we're in the spoiler section of it, I think that his character arc and the way that it comes full circle with him deciding to play the Mandarin one last time was phenomenal. I think the way that they did that throughout this film was really cool, and I like the fact that if you haven't seen Iron Man 3 and you haven't seen Shang-Chi, but you went and you watched this movie, you can fully understand what the character of Trevor Slattery is, which is something Marvel always does a really good job with. It's something that kind of drives me insane as somebody who's been a big MCU fan for the last, 15, 20 years, is I have never once thought after watching a movie of, oh my god, I should have had to watch this other show before I watched this movie, or oh my god, I needed to watch this other movie before I watched this movie, because when you watch the film or you watch the TV show, they give you all the information you need about the characters. And I'm so tired of the people who are like, oh, well, Marvel's just a bunch of homework, because you could watch this film without having seen Iron Man 3 and still totally get the overall gist of it, that this character got conned into playing a terrorist, and he made a bunch of videos pretending to be a terrorist that coincided with actual terrorist bombings and stuff like that. And he's somebody who is so passionate about acting but struggled so much that he was desperate for literally any role. And you can kind of see how that parallels with Simon's character throughout this film, who is somebody who's constantly just taking one-off roles in random TV shows, and somebody who's constantly just trying to do whatever he can to get his foot in the door. Him and Trevor are so similar in that way, and I think that that's really great. And you can see their bond just being, two actors who don't necessarily know if they can trust each other, because Simon thinks that, oh, this guy's potentially going to be coming for his job, and Trevor, on the other hand, sees how dangerous Simon is and is now kind of a little worried about, like, oh my god, he has these superpowers. What happens if, I potentially get too close to him and I'm in danger now? I love that. I really love the depth there. I really love the just overall how good Trevor Slattery is at reading Simon as a person. Like, I think that he has this really incredible job of just fully understanding who he is at a deeper level, and the way that they kind of like are almost like psychologists because of how well they can analyze characters and how well they can analyze other people and just like see the flaws within one another, and the fact that they can just like see each other on a level that's more personal and intimate is just so interesting to me. And everything about this show just feels incredibly deep, and it's one of the best written shows I think Marvel's ever done, and I really love it. I think that this movie does sorry, I said movie instead of show. I think this show does an incredible job of just showcasing what happens when you have good characters who work well together and you have decent dialogue and it's a character-driven story. It kind of reminds me a lot of Iron Man 3 in the sense that if you go back and you rewatch the first 10 MCU movies, there's only one character that really there's only one movie that really feels like a character study, and it is that Iron Man 3 movie where it deals with Tony and his PTSD and some of the other issues that he goes through. So I kind of like the fact that this also feels just like a character study. It's not, oh my god, look at this guy, he has cool powers and that's what makes him interesting. It's, hey, look at Simon Williams, he's just a guy, and he has these dreams, he has these aspirations, and people trying to meddle and trying to force him to come out isn't going to make things any better. It's just kind of going to make things worse. And sometimes if you want somebody to be a good person and you want them to have solid powers, you just need to support them. You need to be there for them. You need to let them embrace their inner selves. And it's awesome. It's a really good show. I 10 out of 10 would recommend it for anybody who hasn't seen it. But overall, I really liked it. And yeah, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming by and checking it out. I love and appreciate you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Bow.